Welcome to every single mechanic in Call of Duty, and I'm not kidding, we are going over aiming, centering, aim assist, everything you need to know to help you get better in Call of Duty. Not only does this work for Black Ops 6 and Warzone, but this should help you for future Call of Duty, so make sure you reference back to this video in the future. My name is Alyus, and I've been a full-time Call of Duty coach for the last 4 years, so if you're interested in coaching, check that out in the description below. Let's go ahead and get on to the basics. The first mechanic we're going to talk about is aim assist, and to activate rotational aim assist, you need to move this left stick 24/7. I'm not kidding. If you're in a 10-minute game, this left stick better be pushed to the edge for those full 10 minutes. Even when you're in a head glitch, push this left stick forward into the head glitch the entire time. If you decide to sit in a corner, push this left stick into the corner the entire time so you have aim assist non-stop. We'll talk about strafing patterns later, but this is by far the most important mechanic that we need to have perfected. The next mechanic is flicking from target to target, and while you're doing this, make sure you're standing in this spot and pushing your left stick into this corner so you can get used to moving that left stick. Now, when you're flicking target to target, you will be aiming off at times, and that's okay. You just need to do a micro adjustment. Now, the trick to this drill is make sure you're actually flicking your right thumbstick from target to target, and you actually don't want to control the entire right stick just like you do with your left stick. The right stick is more so of flicking, let go, flick, let go. Now, granted, you can keep your thumbstick on the thumbstick ready to flick to another target, but get into the habit of flicking target to target. And you can do this in a warm-up, in a ranked play, flick between your teammates. You could also hop into a private match and practice flicking from window to window, like on Protocol. If you find yourself overshooting or undershooting way too much, I highly recommend going to your sensitivity settings and bringing this down by 0.5 and then try again until you find a very comfortable spot. For me, that's gonna be 1.65. Now let's get into strafing. So majority of your gunfights, you're gonna wanna be strafing in one direction. And when you wanna go back in the opposite direction, do a half circle into the opposite direction and then half circle back to the other direction. Now you could do this either way you want. You can go upwards, downwards. Just the whole point is make sure this left thumbstick does not go back in the default position. If you go from one direction to the opposite direction without doing the half circle, you basically lose aim assist when this left thumbstick goes back to the default position. And of course, while you're aiming in, this is so much more slower and easier to do, but that half circle is very important to make sure you don't lose any aim assists. Now let's talk about tracking, which is very simple. It's just strafing back and forth and making sure that you can keep your iron sights on the target the entire time. While you're practicing your strafe and tracking, if you want to practice your flicking onto other targets, you can absolutely do that. Just make sure you're doing what I'm doing, and that's out aiming, aiming back in, also known as stutter aiming. Stutter aiming is simply just out aiming and aiming in on the next target, and this helps you activate aim assist on the target that you want to shoot. And I would say in Warzone, there's a lot of moments you lose aim assist, and the best thing you can do when you lose aim assist, out aim, aim back in, of course, while strafing. Every gun in Call of Duty has a unique recoil pattern, and this is the Jackal. So looking at this recoil pattern, the Jackal goes up and then it goes a little bit to the right and then it goes up. So all this means is when you are shooting your first 10 bullets, pull down just a little bit on the right thumbstick. And then if you go past 10 bullets, you're gonna pull down and to the left just slightly. Now, when I pull down on this thumbstick, look how slightly I pull down to control the recoil. It looks like I didn't even move my thumbstick, but I barely pull down on the right thumbstick. I control that recoil. Now in Call of Duty, it usually takes about 4, maybe 5 bullets to kill a target. So you really just need to pull down on the right thumbstick. In Warzone, this is a little bit more important to pull down and then to the left. And we'll go ahead and just show you that here. So I'm pulling down after the first 10 bullets. I'm now pulling down to the left. And we can still see how we keep that accuracy there. And again, recoil is different for every single weapon. So this is the Jackal where you pull down and to the left a little bit, but here's the aims. For the aims, you pull down a little bit and then to the right after 10 bullets, which again, after shooting 10 bullets, usually you're probably stop shooting and then you can reset back to the first 10. And here's me pulling down on the right thumbstick just barely to control that recoil. Now, adding this all together, I recommend pushing your left stick into the wall, killing these targets, and then every single time that you need to reload, you should just strafe and slide cancel the left and to the right, and then jump back and then get into a different angle to play for these kills. And then you just strafe, get used to the movement, and then you just go back and forth like this, and this is a decent warm-up that you can do if you only have about like an hour to play. But the best practice that you can get is going to be in a private match. So we're in the private match, and I'll give you settings for both multiplayer and Warzone, but basically set this to free-for-all. I would highly recommend putting this on either Skyline or Babylon to make sure you practice gunfights. Now you're going to go over to these default game rules, change the time limit up to 45, change the score limit up to 1,000, and then if you're playing Warzone, you can bump this up to 150 or even 200 to help you with your tracking. The last tip will be for my next video on game sense, but you can put radar always on to directional, and then that's going to help you look at your minimap more, but that'll be for another video. To add on the bots, you press this plus sign under your player, and then you go ahead, put about 7. I recommend just putting recruit bots just because you're just trying to get your gunny warm, and then you can load up the game. Now, when you're in this bot lobby, you can practice everything we talked about, such as strafing all the way to the right, making sure you do that half circle strafe. You can then also practice controlling the recoil past 10 bullets. You can do everything. And a secret tip to really help you guys mastering your movement and right thumbstick movement is add in a 360. I'm not kidding. If you literally 360 for at least 100 kills, it's going to force you to have better tracking, better micro adjustments, and better flicking. So here's a target, 360, kill. Target, 360, kill. Now, another strafing tip to talk about for long range is moving this left stick in a circle. And this is actually how you do shouldering, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But when you move this left stick in a full circle, you're allowing yourself to have aim assist the entire gunfight, and you have a little bit of a nice strafe pattern that's a little bit unpredictable for some enemies. And right there, I had full aim assist, and all I'm doing is moving my left stick in a full circle. That's it. Clockwise, counterclockwise, up to you. Now let's talk about centering or crosshair placement. But basically, this crosshair should always be at chest level or even neck level. So when you go around a corner and you see an enemy and you shoot them, all your bullets are going to hit on target. Now, even when you're going down on a slope, you still want to visualize where the headshot is. Such as, I mean, this guy runs up on me, but like the headshot is right there. So if this enemy comes around the wall, I'm aiming exactly onto him. Obviously, if I go down the staircase, now I'm aiming down, so I would have to adjust and look a little bit up. Centering is so freaking important. It's going to allow you to get your first shot most of the time. Not only do you want to center at chest level and in head glitches, but you want to make sure that you cut the corner like this. So no matter what, when you go around the corner, you're always aiming ready to shoot the enemy, just like I did there. Now in Warzone and multiplayer, I have something called centering like a hacker, which all that means is when you peek around the corner and you see an enemy, when you get back behind cover, aim at that enemy through the wall. So when you peek out, you're aiming exactly on the enemy. So I got behind cover, aiming through the wall, and as I challenge out, I kill the enemy. There's an enemy, again, standing right there on the staircase. I'm not aiming on him, get behind wall, aiming at him through the wall, strafe out, shoot. This is going to help you guys win so many gunfights in Warzone and multiplayer. Now, talking about another mechanic, you can also drop shot, aim at the enemy through the wall, and when you stand up, you can start shooting. Same thing right here. Oh, shoot, get behind wall, aim through the wall, shoot him, strafe out, get that kill. Now, if you're not able to drop shot, get info, and then stand back up, the next best thing you can do is throw shoulders, and all that is literally moving your left stick in a circle like we talked about for long-range gunfights. So you just move your left stick in a circle until you get the info. I know that enemy is there. I can center like a hacker, play for that kill. This is very good in S&D, where if you're just trying to get info and not die, you can then call out, yo, 2 people pushing me on the right, and then the rest of your team can like hit left lane or whatever it may be. Now let's get into some advanced mechanics. Let's start off with the slide. So with slide canceling in this game, usually you want to slide into cover and then pull yourself back behind cover. Now, right there, I did a little bit of a wide challenge, but like right here, slide, get behind cover, pull back. Get behind cover, pull back. And like the whole point of this is it's making you a hard target to hit, and you're able to get info. Even on this wall, I can stop my slide cancel and pull back. Stop my slide cancel, pull back. Now, if we know that the enemy is there and we want to go for a long slide, we can absolutely go for a long slide. And I highly recommend let the slide go the entire distance while shooting the enemy target. And then make sure you strafe back in a half circle back behind cover. Now, to get even more distance on a slide, you can jump into a slide and that'll carry your movement pretty far. Now, with the recent Season 3 update, they did nerf sliding and they nerfed sliding into a drop shot. So unfortunately, we don't have that anymore. But again, the slide cancel to get info or sliding cover to cover is very important. And like, let's say I was running with the teammate right here. I can slide wide and then my second teammate can slide close. So the first guy would slide deep like this and just continue strafing behind cover, while the second guy, when he slides, he can stop at this short angle. And sometimes you can break the enemy's aim assist by doing that. Now, I don't recommend doing the dive at all in most gunfights because you're kind of a floating target mid-air and it's a very easy kill for the enemies. However, if you want to dive and use it efficiently, I would highly recommend using it for cheeky angles like this, where usually the enemy would kind of get caught off guard. You could also do the Shotzzy jump where it's you just do it a little bit earlier and then your character like falls off of it. So like I'm basically laying down and then my momentum is carrying me off of it. I'll show you again right here. And as you see that, I hit the Dolphin Dive, my character lands in prone, but the momentum carries me and I stand back up. You could do this on most head glitches on this game, and it's just a nice little cheeky thing to pull off. The last thing I would say is if you really want to use dolphin diving, just do it from high ground because at least you have, you know, some distance that you can carry. Now, obviously there is the drop shot, which is simply just shooting and then drop shotting. We kind of already talked about that. And I would honestly say drop shotting kind of gets you killed a lot because once again, you're just a stagnant target, not moving. Very easy kill for the enemies. But again, I highly recommend drop shotting like this just behind cover so you can get usually peeker's advantage. Now, jump shotting is one of those staples in Call of Duty that people recommend to do like all of the time. And I would honestly back that up and say, yes, jump shotting is one of the best things that you could do in gunfights. But Black Ops 6 is a little bit more different, where jump shotting in like long range gunfights don't seem that beneficial and you actually end up missing a lot of bullets. So usually I would recommend jump shotting in medium range or close range gunfights. Regardless, jumping usually just prevents the enemies from getting headshots on you, so I still recommend it, especially in Warzone. Now, there are rumors that Warzone is bringing back bunny hopping, which you actually can't do right now in Black Ops 6 unless you jump off of like a high ground distance, and then you might get a little bit of a bump. But if they do bring that back, it's very simple. You just jump, and right before you hit the ground, you hit jump again. But one thing they did bring back is the MOHO Jump, which is simply just spamming crouch when you're mid-air, and basically your character crouches mid-air and it makes you a pretty hard target to hit. The last mechanic we haven't talked about is spam crouching, and it's just because they made a new update where it's actually pretty viable now, and it's as simple as you hear it. You literally just spam crouch while shooting. And this is very good behind head glitches like this because now the enemy's barely going to be able to see you. And it's almost like snaking in a way, but it's not snaking, so you're not breaking any GAs or any rules or anything like that. But again, I highly recommend just getting behind this sink right here, practicing the spam crouch, and I'll help you guys with a lot of gunfights. Now, a few of the miscellaneous mechanics that we haven't talked about are very simple, such as if you hold down your melee button, you then pull out your knife, you can then run a little bit faster. Another thing as well is if you slide down like a staircase or you slide downhill, your slide is actually much more faster and longer. Which is very good for Warzone. And then of course, grenades are very important, where if you see an enemy, you can always throw that grenade, let it hit them, and then once it hits them, you're now in the advantage for the gunfight. And a cool thing about this Call of Duty is when you throw the Semtex into the air, it doesn't blow up until it lands. So if you have really good frag grenade throws, you could switch over to a Semtex and you might find yourself getting more kills. There's also the body shield mechanic, which if you could pull it off, I highly recommend doing it because then it also tells a ping that your teammates are getting body shield, and usually the enemies are like chasing, trying to protect them, but most of the time it's very hard to kill a player out of a body shield. you have to aim for its head, which most people in Call of Duty, they don't aim for the head, and you can find yourself getting some 2 pieces, if not 3 pieces. Now, when shooting against bots, I do recommend playing on Skyline because you can use this big pillar right here to practice all the mechanics you need to do, such as getting back behind cover, re-challenging wide. You could also practice, getting behind the desk and then doing that drop shot into a stand-up. That being said, if you do play multiplayer and you find yourself struggling on winning, P1 gunfights on Skyline, you can sit right here and practice it. Same thing goes with any map. Protocol P1, Protocol P4, Vault P4, you know what I mean? It's just literally throw on some bots, get into these positions, and practice your gunfights. Now, all of these mechanics will help you win a majority of your gunfights, but if I broke it down to the 3 core that I highly recommend, I would highly recommend spam crouching because this target can't even hit me. The second mechanic I would say is doing the long slide, because as you long slide past enemies, they're going to have to do a full 180 to kill you. And then the last mechanic I would say would be jump shotting, just because you jumping up in the air, the enemies aren't going to get headshot multipliers on you, and more than likely you'll get a headshot multiplier. If you guys have any questions or if I missed anything, go ahead and message me in the comments below, or you can join my Discord, and I'm always happy to help. Other than that, I wish you guys best of luck moving forward, and good luck in your games, and peace.